Put out the flags. The government says let's party and celebrate our Britishness. Great, fantastic. But wait a minute, what is Britishness? Does anyone know or even agree? And isn't all that flag-waving stuff, frankly, rather un-British? Next thing you know, we'll be asked to take exams in being British when we turn 18. You may well laugh, but as Vivian White has been finding out, that idea might not be as far-fetched as it sounds.
Once upon a time, there was a minister who wanted to fly the flag and found that he couldn't.
There was an absurd regulation across government that the Union flag was only to be flown on 18 days a year. God knows who wrote this, why it was written.
And rule Britannia, the government waived the rules.
Why the devil shouldn't we be flying the flag? I'm proud about being British. Why not?
Then it went even further.
What is the British equivalent of the US National Day, the 4th of July? What is our equivalent for a national celebration of who we are and what we stand for?
Good question. And as this is the very day it was suggested we could celebrate our Britishness, we decided to throw a party of our own.
And then spoil it all a bit by asking what really lies behind this invitation for us all to celebrate who we are.
I don't think politicians had any awareness of Britishness until they saw it all dissolving and falling to bits, which it obviously is, manifestly is.
I just thought that the Queen was somehow the figure that represented our hypocrisy. I've changed my mind about the Queen, but I haven't changed my mind about British hypocrisy, no.
We used to define ourselves by who our enemies were. We weren't the French, then we weren't the Germans.
We were defined as British by conflict and wars in the past and empire, which was, of course, based ultimately on military power, and that's gone. So we needed to be more explicit.
Britishness has gone. I mean, if it's done, so be it.
That's an absurd point to make. Utterly absurd. Of course, it hasn't gone.
Britishness. Oh, crikey.
What's Britishness to you?
Oh dear, I haven't got a clue.
Gone. Britain's gone.
It's a lot harder to work out what unites us now. The closer you look at Britishness, the more it seems to fall apart in your hands. And aren't the people who are banging the drum about it now the ones who did so much to change it in the first place?
180 sure, thanks. Well, British to me is roast beef and Yorkshire pudding, car industry, steel industry, the miners, all that was British, and it's all gone.
Except for the roast beef.
Well, you can't afford it nowadays, that's the difference.
Mainstream politicians didn't used to talk about our British national identity. But once everybody knew how great Great Britain was. Stoke's an English town which was famous for potteries, coal and steel. Now they've largely gone. The Spitfire, which helped to save the nation in the Battle of Britain, was designed by a Stoke man. Today we have the Eurofighter.
Last night I had a curious dream I've never had before. Stan Matthews on the wing for Stoke at the age of 84.
Stoke was English, British, a place in the centre of a Britain that was at the centre of an empire. It isn't now.
Downing Street, number 10.
British jobs for British workers.
I mean, when I left school, you could leave school on the Thursday, go to an interview on the Friday, walk into a job on the Monday. I've got a daughter at home, she's 20, and she can't get a job.
I think they're windbags. They talk about it, but they don't do anything. It's all talk. It's all talk.
And guess who's been taking advantage?
Any town or city whose core industries have been destroyed by globalisation, you get the same effect. You get the town losing its sense of identity, you get communities with no purpose and no cohesion.
And there's an opportunity for you in the British National Party.
Yeah, anywhere where the ruling elite, particularly the Labour Party, which was the everything for a place like this years ago, has abandoned the working class, you've got this enormous gulf which is going to be filled by somebody, and where possible we make sure it's filled by us.
Right-wing parties like the BNP have always been in the business of exploiting identity politics, and sometimes it works.
The first 4 or 5 years of Tony Blair, I voted Labour, and then I abstained from voting until this last year.
So you've gone from Labour to BNP?
Yeah.
Many people's anxieties about Britishness and what's happened to it trace back to race. In a nation whose population is changing fast, Stoke has changed less and remained whiter than many other towns.
I went up on the lift in Birmingham, on the escalator. I'm going up like this. They're coming down. I'm the only British one. I'm looking round and there's all colours. And it scares you. I thought, gosh, I'm the only English lady here. And it's not a nice feeling.
In a few places like this, the BNP have combined pavement politics, we'll get your light fixed, and white identity politics, we'll fix Britain. The Labour Party once held every one of the 60 seats on the council here. Now Stoke-on-Trent has 9 BNP councillors.
You're a white party. You're a white British party.
Yes, we are a white British party, Fabian, yes.
No ifs and buts about that.
No ifs and buts. We're an ethno-nationalist party. We stand to regain this country for the benefit of the British people.
They represent what we feel like, that the English people should be put first before the outsiders. And I think that's what should happen.
So you voted BNP?
I did, yes.
And you had no doubt that you were voting for a party which stood for white people?
Yes.
But for all that's happened in Stoke, the BNP's appeal is limited, and its overall track record in local government, poor.
For 40 years, they've been trying to drag those flags down and throw them in the mud.
But when you say British, you mean our race, my race, white like me.
British and British National Party signifies that we're here primarily for people of British stock.
British stock?
British and closely kindred or assimilable stock.
And that's probably not the definition of Britishness that the government has in mind.
10, 15 years ago, the neo-fascists, the British National Party, were wrapping the flag round themselves and pretending that only they had ownership to it. They didn't. They had no ownership to it. It's our flag, and I'm proud of it.
My mother was half English, and I'm half English too. I'm a great big bundle of culture, tied up in the red, white and blue.
I was born in, so I class myself as black British anyway, you know?
What's Britishness to you?
Colonialism? Contributing to the well-being of this country. That's what my religion teaches me, which is Islam.
Britishness is always changing these days.
Will the invitation to celebrate our Britishness go down any better with the new Britons and their families? Surely they've plenty to thank the country for. Cheers.